the most expensive movies ever made. Hey guys, welcome to Lux Mana. Making films isn't for the faint of heart or the cash-strapped. After all, breaking box office records isn't cheap. Films made specifically for the big screen are usually the most expensive. You're probably thinking how a movie that lasts an hour or two can cost as much as a house. Sorry for the inconvenience, but please read this first. They aren't always the best films ever made, and it appears that the film's quality isn't always proportional to its actual work. However, chances are you watched at least half of the movie on this list in a theater. We'll show you the most expensive films ever made, with inflation included. Before we continue, kindly hit the notification button to be notified when I next post a new video. So without further ado, let's dive in. The Titanic, 1997. Cost of production, $200 million. The Titanic set alone cost somewhere between $120 and $150 million to build in 1997. You can feel it ripped off if you don't get the ship of dreams for that much money. Remember that scene on the grand staircase where the water crashes in as Rose and Jack struggle to flee? That was just one shot since the set and furnishings were so expensive to create that there was no room for error. Then there were the realm of other amazing special effects. We saw the ship from head to stern with flags flying and smoke coiling from its stacks and hundreds of passengers strolling, children running, servants serving, and so on in one unseemingly uninterrupted image. It was a wise decision. Titanic used its massive production expenditures as part of its marketing strategy, showcasing the film's rich worth like no other at the box office. It did extremely well, pun intended. Despite its $294 million budget, Roger Ebert called the picture worth for money, since every penny spent on production is seen on screen. What else could you get for the kind of money? 4,444,444 life jackets at $45 each. King Kong, 2005. Cost of production, $207 million US. Colossal budgets are nothing new to us. Jackson's grandiose takes on the 30s classic and had a starting budget of $150 million due to The Lord of the Rings, but it grew higher and higher. The majority of the funds were spent on Kong himself. Furthermore, King Kong grew to be much longer than Universal had intended, and the added length, thanks to the primarily special effects required for a credible 25-foot computer-generated gorilla, resulted in a budget rise of a third. Because of its length, the film was a cinematic risk, forcing the studio to target the kind of long-term audience that made 3-hour films like Peter Jackson's Rings trilogy successful. Long movies have fewer showings every day, thus for King Kong to break even at the box office, it had to perform well. Fortunately, the picture grossed $550 million worldwide when it was released in 2005, and the special effects were incredible. What else could you get for that kind of money? The cost of constructing each of the Empire State Buildings is $40,948,900 US. Avatar, 2009. Cost of production, $237 million. It's common knowledge that movie companies like getting inventive with their accounting to reduce the amount of tax they must pay. The higher the cost, the smaller the tax bill. Avatar was no exception. Cameron took on an epic leap into the third dimension with his digitally created new universe, enlisting WETA for special effects and using super sleek 3D to take the medium of cinema to the next level. After a 12-year directorial run-up, it's no wonder then that the film was not inexpensive. Every single frame for the film took 90 hours to create with a staggering 24 frames per second, resulting in cutting-edge CGI unlike anything seen before. Not to mention that developing a new language and teaching it to over 100 performers, as well as hiring major stars and excellent, well-known scriptwriters and developing the technology for 3D glasses all contributed to the already massive production expenditures. And to think that we were previously astounded by the realism of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. What else could you get for that kind of money? At $14.99 for each pot, 15,810,540 gallons of blue body paint are available. Spectre, 2015. Cost of production, $245 million. James Bond, it seems, enjoys not only his martini shaken, not stirred, but also a massive film budget. Because of the series' nature, directors must get increasingly intricate with their set pieces. To break even, producers reportedly needed to gross $650 million at the box office. That's after marketing costs. Only one Bond picture, Skyfall, has ever achieved such a feat at the time. What else could you get for that kind of money? At $200,000 each, there are 1,225 Aston Martins available. Marvel Avengers, Age of Ultron 2015, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, The Dark Knight Rises. The cost production is $250 million. Avengers, Age of Ultron, Harry Potter, and all the others can compete, but they don't come cheap. As we learned from all 6 massive events, after the cast threatened to leave if their contractual demands, that's money, wasn't met, Marvel had their work cut out for them if they wanted all the big names back on board for the Avengers sequel, all of whom were reportedly looking for $5 million on the table and a cut of the post-release profits. There were also the far-flung international locales, the use of drone cameras for some filming, and the employment of CGI to create the main villain with all the intricacies that Whedon intended to depict. Everyone knows that more CGI is never a good substitute for good storytelling. Yet it doesn't seem to matter in the case of Age of Ultron, which grossed nearly $1.3 billion worldwide. Although it's not surprising that Warner Brothers was ready to put up as much money as was required to bring the Harry Potter series to the big screen, it is surprising that The Half-Blood Prince was the most expensive in the series. It was the least popular film among fans and reviewers. No, money doesn't always make a great movie. But there's a legend that director Yates tried some experimental stuff with the film before being forced to scale it back in post-production, so as not to irritate fanatical HP fans. What else could you buy for that? How about 280,000 drone cameras at $1,000 each? Wow, let's take a deep breath and move on. Spider-Man 3, 2007. Cost of production, $258 million. Spider-Man nearly single-handedly paved the way for the current superhero craze when it was released in 2002. However, they soon began throwing money at the franchise. Unfortunately, generating pricey blockbuster superhero sequels is no easy task. The film's production went on late summer when it was supposed to wrap in June, drastically increasing the budget. There was also the massive cost of CGI, web-slinging set pieces, star salaries, and of course marketing and promotion campaign costs. After Spidey 2 struggled to persuade fans that an aging arachnid fan was still living in a single bedsit and popping around in his Aunt May's house for some home cooking before donning on the red-blue spandex for the evening, the studio probably didn't have much of a choice with the astronomical marketing budget. Unfortunately, even though Spider-Man 2 cost $250 million to make and Spider-Man 3 cost even more, the critical reception was not favorable. Now what else could you get for that kind of money? At $40 each, there were 7,325,000 bungee cords available. Tangled, 2010. Cost of production, $260 million. The cost of Tangled was mostly due to the length of time it required to perfect the story. It took 10 years of many failed attempts at making the film, each of which got very far into production before scrapping everything and starting over, redesigning versions of previously attempted film Rapunzel from 2000 that were never produced and accounted for on a large portion of the expenditure. Furthermore, a substantial study was conducted to establish an animation approach that allowed the CGI to evoke some of the attributes of conventional hand-drawn Disney figures. Animating all that the blonde hair must have been a nightmare. What else could you buy for that? 2,810,000,000 crayons for 10 cents each. John Carter, 2012. Cost of production, $263 million. The price of John Carter was, for lack of a better word, absurd. It cost Disney roughly $200 million, making it the company's largest disaster ever. The film's human cost was likewise not insignificant. Rich Ross, the previous head of Walt Disney Studios, resigned less than a month after the film's premiere, and Disney lost the rights to produce the remainder of Edgar Rice Burroughs, Inc.'s back catalog after declining to make any John Carter sequels. Furthermore, filmmaker Stanton began filming the film with Taylor Kitsch in the lead role. However, due to post-production issues, Stanton was forced to shoot much of the film twice, causing the budget to quickly spiral out of control. Just to break even, John Carter would have needed to make roughly $600 million. It didn't even come close to coming that. And Stanton, what a pity. On such a large scale, no one wants to uncover their limitations. What else could you buy for that? How about 16,941,176 leather loincloths at $17 a shred? Waterworld, 1995, cost of production $271 million. Kevin Costner lived in the middle of the ocean on a trimaran, and that was once Earth before the ice caps melted and dry land became a distant memory. Similar to Hollywood blockbusters with budgets under $200 million, the 1995 film starring Kevin Costner was the most costliest film ever made at the time. Costner put more than $20 million of his own money into the picture, which was shot on a massive 400-foot diameter atoll built specifically for the film somewhere off the coast of Hawaii. The stunning 1,000-ton floating set, which measured over a quarter-mile in circumference and necessitated aerial filming with seaplanes and helicopters, ate up a significant portion of the film's budget. Not to add the fact that whoever was in charge of the weather lookout at the time failed miserably at their job, as evidenced by 3 massive hurricanes that sank the entire set. What else could you buy for that? 2,084,615 inflatable 4-person dinghies at $130 each. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, 2011. Cost of production $397 million. Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, both directed by Gore Verbinski, cost $263 million and $341 million, respectively, with On Stranger Tides taking the top spot as the most costly long shot, costing over $400 million for Jack Sparrow and Barbossa's search for the elusive Fountain of Youth. Regardless of the massive production expenditures, Depp was paid an estimated $55 million, and the film was a big success. Since the first time we saw Johnny Depp parading around with bearded dreadlocks and guy liner in 2003, the box office busting Pirates of the Caribbean films have been the most extraordinary cash cow, and the Disney execs behind the franchise have been simultaneously wading around in gold up to their armpits. What else could you get with that kind of money? At $16 each, there are 24,812,500 Kohl Eye pencils available. And that's all for today, folks. Thank you for spending time with us. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button and the notification bell and subscribe to our channel to get access to more interesting videos from us. And share your thoughts in the comment section below. Till next time.